Drodzy Państwo, jeszcze jedna uwaga. Jest jeden mikrofon dla osób z panelu, moderator ma swój drugi i bardzo prosimy o to, żeby nie ruszyć tej nakładki, bo wtedy może się wyłączyć ten mikrofon, a tego nie chcemy. Tak? Czyli mikrofon będzie przekazywany z rąk. Naleć wam wody? Właśnie, ja wam naleję już. A tutaj macie. Dobra.
Co się myślimy? Nie, ja może na
Mam ściągawkę. Chyba że chcecie, żeby wam zrobił żal. Nie. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So I see that we have a full room, so we can start our first discussion panel. Well, I'm thinking that we are just about finishing our Plasma 2025 conference, which is a central event for so many researchers in plasma physics who are also working with thermonuclear fusion. And simultaneously, we've got the anniversary of our association, so that it's really a perfect moment for discussion like that, for discussion about the first Polish contribution for the fusion research program. So it's really a topic which is really close to me because I'm working in this field just from the beginning of our association. So I was starting with doing some small projects in plasma wall interaction, and now I became head of the department of research on fusion plasmas. So it's really nice to me to moderate such a discussion. But besides of me, I've got a really aces from the Polish deck of cards in fusion. So let's hear our guests, their presentations first. Please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Tymoteusz Ciuk. I represent, thank you, the Institute of Microelectronics and Photonics, which is part of the Łukasiewicz Research Network.
Also, good afternoon. My name is Łukasz Ciupiński. I work at Warsaw University of Technology, which is the largest technical university here in Poland. And since almost a year, I'm also now the chairman of the scientific board or government board of this Polish association, or now Center for New Energy Technologies. Yeah, and maybe that's for the moment.
Okay, good afternoon. Monika Kubkowska. I am current IPPLM director, so I represent my institute, but also I represent as a head of research unit all the institutes which creates the Polish Association. I'm a physicist, so my background is in plasma. I have background in plasma physics, but my main activities is plasma spectroscopy.
Jacek, Rzadkiewicz. I work in National Center for Nuclear Research. That is something like 30 kilometers from here. So we have the research reactor, and my connection with plasma was mainly with JET when I was for 4 years responsible officer for X-ray diagnostic.
Okay, so thank you very much. So now let's start with the first questions. Well, during this morning we have plenty of presentations, very interesting ones about collaboration, exactly about European collaboration. So the first question to our panelist is how this European collaboration shaped the country's capabilities in thermonuclear fusion. So let's start with Mr. Ciuk.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I must say that I represent an institute which is commercialization oriented, and we work directly with the industry. We entered the fusion science because we had this idea to utilize our heavily equipped labs to do something practical of the materials we have. And the basic idea was to bring two-dimensional materials into the fusion research, and through a collaboration with the National Science for Nuclear Research and IPPLM, and being the member of the European Fusion Association and Eurofusion affiliated entity, we managed to publish the first ever paper on the interaction of graphene with neutron radiation. And that was the kickoff. That was enabled by strong national and international cooperation, and it will evolve into next high-scope publications and projects. So yes, the cooperation has helped us enter the fusion value chain.
The same question?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I will not be original in what I say because we've heard this this morning also. I've been in the fusion activities in Poland since the beginning, or even before 2 years before the formal contract. And well, I think that the participation in the fusion program really shaped what we can deliver as the country to the program. Well, when we started, at least at my faculty, I didn't know anything about fusion. But over the years, so we specialize in some fields, and well, the international cooperation started, and I think we are now very well established as a viable partner in many different tasks in the Eurofusion program. But without the international cooperation, it wouldn't be for our university, I think, possible to bring any reliable and viable contribution to the program.
So I will be maybe more general in this answer. So for sure, participation in European fusion program increased significantly our capabilities. I think of our all research units involved. And as you may know, Eurofusion and also general fusion program gives us a lot of opportunities. In Poland, there is no dedicated course for fusion. We have only some lecturers on plasma physics. So by joining the program, our researchers and engineers can really touch the fusion machine, can meet the experts in fusion, And I think at the beginning, when we joined the program, the people just even realized that they can do something in that field. So participation in the Fusion program allowed us to find our niche in this field, and now we are well recognized as a specialist in different fields. So we have an experts in plasma diagnostics, as we heard today during the presentations. Our people are very much involved in the experiments at different devices. We have an experts in neutronic measurements, excellent team who are involved in the modeling and simulations of the plasma phenomena. So for sure, this participation in the program gives us a lot. So.
Okay, so now maybe just not to repeat what my colleagues just said to you. Like Gianfranco said about what was in 2005 when the Pope John Paul II died. This time was very difficult for the Polish science this time. Yes, we just joined the European Union, but the only, let's say, perspective for the young researchers in this time was simply to go to abroad, to research in, I don't know, Germany, United Kingdom, or France. So this was the perspective in 2005. Now, after these 20 years, we have the opportunity to work in laboratories, obviously in the international collaboration, but in our laboratory in Poland. And I think this is a very big achievement, yes? And just from the perspective of my institute, so when I remember correctly, in 2005, there was only one group, probably 3 persons, that made something around tokamak. Yes, now we have a really very big program, and this is one of the biggest European program in my institute. Yes, so we make the irradiation in our nuclear reactor. We make the design for the demo. We build diagnostics for JT60. So this is really, I think, change in comparison in 2005.
Okay, thank you very much. So as you can see, all the speakers agree that for sure this collaboration had really a beneficial influence on the Polish science and on our community, which is really confirmed if you look around and you see how many researchers were present on this conference. It was, say, about 100 researchers who presented their contribution. And still, you must be aware that many more have also participated in preparation of these contributions. So when we are about contributions, so of course during the today talks we were shown many of works performed by Polish scientists in the framework of this collaboration. But there is a question for you, panelists. If you had to choose one of these contributions, so how during this, say, even 2 decades of research, which of the Polish contributions, in your opinion, were the most significant? So now let's start with Mr. Ciupiński.
And this is a very tough question, I might say.
Yes, I am aware, but
because,
everybody wants to hear.
This was also said this morning, that our Polish contributions are everywhere. But these are many, I would say, specific, rather small contributions to the broader, let's say, picture of the fusion. Some of them date back to early beginning of our participation. Marcin today was speaking about the Polish contribution to Wendelstein 7X. He hasn't mentioned of our engineering contribution to the verification of the design of support connections for the coils. And I would like to believe that our contribution also contributed to the successful startup of the device that went smoothly. But there are many such things that are, I would say, even not remembered now. My colleagues from electronics department They were also behind the development of the diagnostics for soft X-ray analysis for JET and currently in West. But well, they develop hardware, the electronics, fast systems with multi-channel acquisition. So very important part of the diagnostic, but again, a specific and maybe a small contribution. So I think that, well, maybe I'm too long in my speech, but I think that here we have many different participants to the program in Poland. Every one delivers at time, at quality, as was mentioned also this morning. But this is these are the contributions that are very broadly spread over the program. So for me, to name one that was the most significant is impossible. Let's see what my colleagues would say.
Okay, so, well, again, the Polish contribution to fusion program is for sure significant, as all of the associations, countries which create this program, because it is one team who play together. And what is important, you saw on the presentation by Gianfranco how the Eurofusion program is created. There are many work packages. And I must say that we as a Poland, as a Polish association, our research units are involved in almost all of them. So from one hand, it is very good because we have the experience and competences in many fields. But this is something in which we should work and improve somehow to be really specialized in several chosen things. And if I want to focus on one of these contributions, so for sure, especially that I'm personally involved in this, is the development of plasma diagnostics, because from the beginning, as was already mentioned, we were involved on the development of soft X-ray diagnostics for W7X, and we are very happy and proud of this, that these diagnostics were not only designed, developed by us and manufactured, but it was installed, and now our team operates them. So we are a team which also analyze the data received from these diagnostics. Similar is with the diagnostics which we developed for the West. This is the tomographic system. So together with the Warsaw University of Technology, which was already mentioned by my colleague, and from people from Faculty of Electronics, we work on this system, this diagnostics, and one of the detectors is already in operation. Second will be, I hope, soon. So this is the main of our activities. I also want to mention about the lips diagnostics, which was a success, a very big success at the JET last years. This is the diagnostic dedicated for the measurements of tritium retention from the wall. And we also was a part of the team which were involved in this development, installation, and operation of the system together with our Italian colleagues and many others. So.
Okay, so maybe again I will try to say my personal perspective. So I remember in 2008 I came to JET for secondment for 3.5 years. And first of all, I remember Klaus-Dieter Zastrow, probably some of you know him, just bring me to the laboratory and said, oh, the two gas detectors are destroyed. Yes, so, but you came to measure something with this detector. So either you build new one or you will not have to do anything here for the 3 years. Then obviously with very big support of Klaus-Dieter Zastrow, Marek Scholz, we started to think how to make the upgrades of these detectors, yes? And this was detectors for high-resolution X-ray diagnostics on jet that measured ion temperature, rotation of the plasma, and impurities. And yes, if I was younger and probably I decided to build this, probably today I don't know if I would decided to make this this task, but because it was extremely difficult, yes, because we had no experience with infrastructure like tokamaks. This spectrometer was very big, built by the way by Italians as a platform. But we decided, yes, and I think we make very nice again national collaboration. Yes, we just ask Professor Dominik, who is world leader, one of the world leaders for the gem detectors. He's working for CERN, and he decided to help us. Then we ask Technical Warsaw University, and they provided excellent electronicians for this. And after that, we built detectors. They measured, even to the last campaign with the records, ion temperature. And from this, I think it is also a success, because even if we finish the project, then we continue with the developing of the gem technologies. Yes, then we were able to provide this gem detector for the West. We made the design for demo. So I think really many good things happen because of this project. Okay.
What I have seen throughout this conference is that there are so many scientists with different institutes, universities, technical universities, representing both the Polish Academy of Sciences and independent institutes, now also with a humble representation of the Łukasiewicz Research Network, who really work together, now hand in hand, in a coordinated manner, essentially being a big fusion or plasma family, which is quite an achievement, I would say, in our culture. Congratulations.
Thank you. You may have noticed that at least two of these answers was concerned on the topic of diagnostics, and I think it may be characteristic for Poland, because we aren't country with any big device for thermonuclear research as tokamak or stellarator. So it again brings topic of collaboration. So you must imagine that thermonuclear fusion is an area which requires really strong collaboration. For example, because it is very well interdisciplinary field. So the next question is about how this international and is being specific European collaboration can benefit how it works in the thermonuclear research, and what were the main benefits from that for Poland. So now let's start with Monika Kubkowska.
Well, talking about the international collaboration, I'm looking on the audience and I see so many colleagues from our collaborative institutions from all over the Europe. So this is, it means that we are create this collaboration and we cooperate together. And this is because fusion is a complex area, and it is required scientific and engineering challenges. So no single country can develop it by alone, and it requires shared knowledge, shared funds, and also coordination on a global scale. So this international collaboration is crucial for sure for fusion, and especially for fusion in that times. And what it gives us access to the world-class facilities. It gives us the opportunity to be a part of these big experiments at the fusion devices like JET, WEST, W7X and many others, not even in the Europe, but also in Japan. For example, we are also a part of the LHD team. So it gives us a lot. Our researchers increased our experience and gain knowledge about the plasma physics, how to operate. It was already mentioned here during this presentations today that thanks to these collaborations, because we don't have any fusion device, big fusion device in Poland, we can see how to operate, how be a part and participate in these big experiments.
Okay, so maybe shortly, just I think, first of all, if we came to Euratom, we had to learn what is the program, how it is managed, what kind of resources are. And this was the lessons for us, yes? And I think that I hope we made our homework, yes? And we build the structure. We just prepare for proposals also to our ministry to have the additional support. So we made the resources for the research, and I think this international collaboration help to define the scientific issue that we should study, help for the management, and help also for the absorbing the resources. Yes, so I think this is 3 important points.
From my perspective, also not to repeat what my colleagues said, since I'm coming from the university, I would add that this international collaboration allowed us to send several students to the institute and different organizations in Europe for longer, maybe 1-2 years visits, and also the shorter ones. This also enabled at least me to introduce some of the international colleagues as lecturers to the lectures that I give at the university. So there is also this dimension related to education. I would maybe be a little controversial now, but now I would like to see that the international cooperation changed the vector, and that there is more influence on the international partners on what is happening here in Poland. And there was also the mention that we don't have any significant infrastructure here in Poland, and maybe it's time for Poland to try to develop this infrastructure, but will be probably unable to do it on ourselves, and that in this sense we would need even stronger international cooperation.
From my perspective, even though we have the idea and technology for a device, we need boundary conditions. For example, for the dimensions or the magnetic fields or neutron radiation or temperatures, and these boundary conditions oftentimes come from the experts in the field of simulating the operation of a fusional device, be it a Luxembourgish company, for instance. And once that device is completed, we want to validate it again. We need access to a fusional device that actually is operational and could let us test, validate the devices. So the international cooperation is key in this implementation.
Okay, thank you very much. So, well, in my opinion, all what our panelists told, for another time, it highlights the same opinion which was today expressed by Gianfranco, that collaboration is really important. That what is really important to find one uniform direction for Europe, so that it doesn't work in the way that each national program goes in different direction, but everything should be coordinated because well, there's something like comparison. So Europe should work as something like cyclists in the echelon, right? Because if they are dispersed, they are much weaker. So it's something like my general conclusion. Well, not mine, it's a repeated conclusion of Gianfranco, but it is what will stay in my opinion after this panel. So now I'd like to ask our panelists. So I'd like them to summarize this today's discussion, well, in a few words, to have a good completion of this discussion. So let's now start with Mr. Rzadkiewicz.
Okay, so just to summarize, I think that now we are in very important moment for in the research of fusion, because we see that there are many infrastructures that are built, that are many infrastructure that are planned to build. So I think that this new roadmap is absolutely crucial, and we also should define the role of countries like Poland and different countries. We also should define how we would like to collaborate with the countries not from Europe, like China, like US. So I think from my perspective it's very exciting time, but also I think very, very difficult, yes. And I'm very happy also that Gianfranco just has shown the risks for the program, and we should really very properly define these risks, yes. And we should show we should show the community how we would like to proceed, and we should inform about this risk, because we know that the technology is very challenging. We probably cannot stop to develop this technology, but we should really make the good job for the plan.
I agree with this, what you said, Jacek. And coming back to this proposal of Łukasz, who proposed that it is maybe time to have our national fusion facility in Poland. Of course, everyone who are involved in this project will be happy in Poland, but also what is important, we need to be in line with the Europe, with the Eurofusion, just to receive their support, because as I said, no single country cannot develop this by alone, so we need to use the expertises and experience from our colleagues. And what is important, I hope that we will be still on board as Poland, as Polish researchers, engineers, because we have many competitions and many possibilities how to improve the work plan, and interest of new generation, because fusion is very interesting for young people. And we also observe in Poland during over the last these 20 years increase in the master thesis, PhD thesis, even habilitation in Poland started to be in the field of fusion. So it is very important that we should be more present and describe this, and also present the possibilities and also this risk which is behind. So this is important.
It's difficult to add something, but I would stress that what was mentioned by Gianfranco, I think that at each level of the program we need more integration. I mean, the program is very large. Even at the level of my university, we have many tasks, and in Poland there are 36 institutions, not all of them implementing the program, but associated to the program, let's say. And if we do not decide on a common goal and well-defined goal and do not integrate the program, we'll miss the train.
Maybe I should conclude that it seems it's time we had a national program that would unite all the scientists and researchers at the institutes, universities and the network that could work jointly in a common objective to bring the fusional power to realization. Thank you.
Okay, I think that it concludes this interesting discussion. For sure, we would be able to talk much longer, but there is time approaching for the next session, the next panel discussion. So let's thank our speakers for their insightful thoughts. And I invite you to the second panel discussion, which now will be about future of fusion, not only in Poland, but in Europe and in the whole world. Okay, so I will not exactly repeat my introduction because you already know me. Everybody was here after during the first panel talk. So after the Polish prominent scientists, we are really prominent scientists from Europe. So I'd like to, on behalf of our organizer, thank you for coming today. So now it is about the prospects of fusion research and about its future. So well, we know that it is really something, as I already mentioned, it is really interdisciplinary research. And today we've got this information era. So when you read news and these algorithms know that you are interested in fusion, maybe not every day, but every week you hear about the breakthroughs and obtaining milestones in fusion research, and that we will be able to have this clean energy right now almost. Of course, it's sort of most of this is hype, but still there are some really interesting achievements, and that is why what I would like to first ask you. So, in your opinion, what is the most significant achievement of fusion you could have heard about, say, recent weeks or recent months? So let's start with Tony.
You don't want the introduction first? Okay.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about. Well, you are so well known that you needed. Okay, so please.
No, I got the program, but no, I'm one of the dinosaurs talking about prehistory. So I basically in 1985 there were two guys called Reagan and Gorbachev. They had a meeting. I don't know whether they danced, Gianfranco, but they had a meeting in Geneva, which went pretty well. And they decided to start the ITER project. And that was the moment that I thought, wow, fusion, that's what I'm going to do. So since that time I'm in there. I worked for most of my life in diagnostics. So already very early I came also in contact with the Polish diagnosticians. Most people know me since the last 10 years before my retirement. I was doing Eurofusion, which now is in the safe hands of my next speaker. Not my next speaker, but the next speaker. Sorry.
I don't think I need to repeat. I have all my professional career started in a nuclear engineering department trying to find a solution to energy security because we didn't have anything under the ground to burn. Ended up at a time where people said it's dangerous. So I decided either to take another offer or to get specialized in fusion. So I did the second. Since 1990, I started my career in fusion, and I had the opportunity to be involved in a project which was called NET, because while JET was constructed, we had Lungimirant people driving. These Lungimirant people are not there anymore. And Europe was considered the next step. It was a European project, it was called NET. And then Europe decided, for political reasons, to do this with others. So CeNTE changed the T-shirt with an ITER T-shirt. I had the opportunity to spend time in ITER from its beginning, in the EDA, until 2006. I resigned when I had the opportunity to meet the first ITER director, because I had, at that time, the clear evidence that we were going into a route of political compromise. Now, I think I became Fusion program manager of Eurofusion, coming through a path which I think it was important. I'm really keen to tell the young people in this room and those outside, you need to scream to get offer opportunity in which you believe. Otherwise, go somewhere else. This is certainly a job when you're not going to be rich, for sure. But you're going to be having a smile on your face. Now, the problem, I cannot convince my kids to do that because I prefer the money other than the smile. Now they regret somehow, but...
Thank you. My name is Wojciech Krulas. I come from Kraków Institute of Nuclear Physics. I hope that counts as Europe, so I believe so. And I think I'm a relatively newcomer to this community because my background is in nuclear physics, low energy nuclear physics, and I sort of switched sides and went into fusion business, neutron physics, about 10 years ago, which gives me maybe a different perspective, but also a lot of fun learning new things and being in this community.
Well, good afternoon. First of all, let me thank the organizers of this conference for inviting us and for organizing the panels. My name is Fernanda Rimini. I am a dinosaur as well. I'm an experimental dinosaur in the sense that my job has been for the last 20, 25 years to run machines. I run experiments, and in particular I run machines, Tor Supra and more recently JET. So this is my role. I live in the control room.
Okay, so you in sometimes with this introduction to have a good solution for my first question about this greatest achievement of recent days. So can we go back to this question? Yes, please.
So I'm going a little bit against the grain. As you can probably guess, I'm going to say that it's something related to JET and to the DT experiments. It is not the result. For me, the greatest success was the fact that we managed to do the experiment safely. This was managing DT, managing tritium, which is not, high levels of radiation relatively. It is not, as many of you know, it's not straightforward. Involving the whole of the community and keeping the whole of the community involved even if there was a pandemic. We did DT experiments during COVID. But because we had built on the foundation of a strong management, on the foundation of very strong collaboration at the European level, of very good communication with our collaborators, even when they were not physically on site, we could continue. And over Zoom, over remote calls, it was almost as if they were there. And we met, so to me, that was amazing. And it's maybe a way things will happen in the future, because you will have one facility somewhere, but not everybody will be on site all the time. So you need to build a team. You need to keep everybody involved. And you need to give them, empower them in working safely towards the goal.
Yeah, I think this is an aspect that really needed mentioning, needed to be brought up. I will be more trivial. I think we had these two great achievements, one year after the other. And I would like to mention also the inertial confinement fusion result from NIF. This Q greater than one achievement with the lasers is something that we should really take into account. This is not part of the European program, so maybe it hasn't been mentioned in this room because it's not what we're doing, but it is certainly something which has brought a lot of attention to fusion worldwide. And then the great success of JET DT campaign, we are of course very thrilled, and especially, and I hope we'll come to that, especially since the participants from Poland had a large contribution into the diagnostics, measuring the plasma parameters, the neutron, gamma, soft X-ray diagnostics, but also sat during the campaign and analyzed the data. So.
If you allow me, I'll go back to the hype to start with. I don't know how many of you knows, but in 1951, Perón in Argentina, he had a bizarre scientist from Austria who convinced him that fusion was available, and he actually told the people there's going to be fusion in the supermarket in bottles which were half a liter. 1951. There's been up and down. The big hype when the 1958 in Geneva, when they classified nuclear fusion, so people got together, and that was very important. Everybody worked together. But they got depressed at the very beginning because they were not able to get the NT-tau, a bit like Venders's 7X. And fortunately, our Russian colleague came up with the idea of building a tokamak where they were getting there. So there was a hype again. But then it was not working well. So, and then there was the hype of the 1970 embargo. Same problem, the oil. Oil is always everywhere. It's very tied up with fusion. People realized, I had to go in the bicycle, we could not drive car. I was very young, so I didn't know the license. But it was beautiful. But that showed that the government need to invest in fusion. So there was a big jump in funding. That funding was very important because that was the time where people start thinking about TFDR, they build the jet, and plus they put ITER on the table. So big hype, and then it went down. And we are coming more or less where we are. Now I think we live with the success of important jet. Fernanda, I think, has to be acknowledged to be one of the persons who have made this dream feasible under condition which she described. NIF is important, but I think we have too much give attention. Now, the startup, if you boil, is there a breakthrough somewhere? I don't see it. Actually, if you go to the startup, the only thing they acknowledge is the role of HTS. But is HTS important for fusion? I'm not sure. So I think we are sort of forced now to make news out of very little. That's my opinion. Now, success, I think in addition to what has been said, I think for me, ITER, it's a success to bring people together at a time where we are not getting it. So it values the importance of science for a common goal. And I think it's an experiment which went through a very difficult phase. And there's a lot of return of experience to be learned. But I think this is showing, if we're not blind, of death, that is not as easy as many people think. So if we're not able to understand that, and we are not going to be able to renormalize, we are not going to go anywhere. So I think we have to find our way, building up for the success of the past, and improve where we did wrong. So I am sort of convinced, and Europe always had a big role in this. So I think we are making a lot, but there's too much noise at the moment, and perhaps a lot too many expectations on the success we've done.
Yeah, let me not repeat what I said. Of course, we heard already JET. I fully agree. Wendelstein was also mentioned before. big achievements. I think another big achievement, which no one said today, but where also Polish people collaborated, is the completion of GT60. That was more or less on budget, on time. Unfortunately, during the first operation, there was a little accident. There was a quench, and then it took 2.5 years to repair, but it was great. And what I find reassuring is that the same couple which built and was responsible for building GT60, Pietro Barabaski, now ITER director, Yukata Kamada being his deputy at the Japanese side, they are now responsible for ITER. ITER is now in the assembly phase, and Pietro and Yukata took over at a very difficult phase where there were non-conformities, there were a lot of problems because the QA was not good because of COVID. And so they now went through this rebaselining, which is a nasty exercise. It has put back the date of ITER. On the other hand, I think that's a big achievement that I'm now, for the first time since I started in Fusion, of the opinion that ITER is in good hands and going forward.
Okay, thank you. Gianfranco brought an issue of groundbreaking technologies. So basically, I also agree that this high temperature superconductor, for sure, it's very convenient, that can be very beneficial for thermonuclear research. However, with these temperatures it has now, it cannot give a really breakthrough. So I'd like to ask you if you can see any other modern, say, technology or science which could benefit fusion research with a breakthrough which would bring the positive outcome really closer. So let's start with Gianfranco.
I think we have a tendency to look for a solution without understanding the problem. And I think we need to understand the problem we need to solve. And this is not the case at the moment. There is a proselytism of technology. Everybody wants to invest in technology. And they do it the purpose to get a return of investment very quickly. So I came to that conclusion at the moment to bring, and by the way, with the HTS, they are certainly important if you go to the high field. The mantra was small, cheap, and fast. Before becoming program manager of Eurofusion, I had the courage to write an article, benefiting from the knowledge available in Eurofusion, sort of challenging this. That indeed, when you increase the field, the machine doesn't get smaller because the structure gets bigger, the forces, the stresses scare with the squirrel. Anyhow, they didn't like it, they reply to my publication, and I reply to the reply. Fine, I think I wish them success. But we need to understand the problem. And I'm really concerned, like some of my colleagues in the General Assembly, that if we develop technology, if we develop a technology map without understanding what is it meant for, we're not going to go anywhere. So if there is a weak point in our plan towards commercialization, is the problem of breeding the tritium, extracting energy. So the breeding blanket is something which we have recognized to be complicated. We do not have a solution. Nobody has a solution. No one. And to arrive to a solution, I think with Eurofusion and dealing with, we need to put together a strategy. So I don't see out there, it's not just a technology that makes the success of fusion. It's a combination of technology, which needs some improvement from the existing. But first, let's understand the problem we need to solve. Because the other way around, driven by, and this is what drives the business right now, people are hoping that by throwing money in fusion, they're going to be able to succeed, develop technologies that they can use somewhere else. They might be successful, I don't know. But I don't see a technology that can make a dramatic change. As long as the plasma remains such a sensitive baby, it's difficult. We have engineering a surrounding. There are huge possibilities with the material manufacture, advanced manufacturing, artificial intelligence, but there's not a silver bullet, I'm afraid.
Since tritium breeding and extraction has been mentioned, I think there are other technologies, that we still need to develop, and one of them would be long-time plasma control, diagnostics and control. This requires handling of large data streams, perhaps some machine learning, perhaps some fast algorithms, maybe tomographic. And I think in this case, we can look the other way around, look for synergies with other areas where they have solved or they are trying to solve similar problems. Perhaps the space industry, perhaps the military. Just trying to figure out algorithms that would simplify the problem and provide us a solution to do some real-time control.
I am very happy that you mentioned AI and real-time control. There is this mantra that AI will solve everything. Spoiler, the answer is no. However, AI is happening whether we like it or not, and we need to exploit it. And the other thing that is happening is that we are developing a power plant. We are developing something that will be a power plant, where the conditions will be completely different from anything that we've seen now. The conditions of the plasma, the conditions of the walls, the whole environment will be different. So starting to think in terms of what can other people, what can other environment teach us, how will we control that? We will need to use AI. So it's not going to be a breakthrough. It's not going to be something that changes from here to here. But for example, it will, using AI, using machine learning, could make us learn slightly faster how to operate one of these devices, rather than going through, these days, whenever you start a new machine, it takes about 3 years. Whatever, even if there is no fault, it takes about 3 years, 2 or 3 years to start a new machine. And that assumes that you have personnel trained. We need to speed that up, because you cannot just do that all the time, and you cannot do that in a power plant. So we need to include AI in a smart way, that is not just leaving it to somebody who comes with the solution and drops the solution onto us.
Yeah, for what it's worth. Actually, you start up faster than my car. That's good. I think one of the real challenges, I agree with all your challenges and what is very important. I think one of the real challenges, and I think that's really the one which is everyone overrating, is to bring the people together, to work together on a project, rather than, and what you see now in the whole world, the Americans started 10 years ago with all these private companies. They set up a program called Infuse, but actually what they're doing is they diffuse money from the government over all these companies, and they say, well, one of them will be successful and we get fusion. Basically, all this funding to the companies is subcritical and nothing happens. What instead we need is to put our heads together to really think what is the best possible project, what can be done. Could be a tokamak, could be a stellarator, maybe it's inertial fusion. Let's sit together, put the requirements. Actually, I just published a paper last week in Physics of Plasma, setting a requirement system to really compare all these different concepts. Decide together what is the best and focus on that. Try to build it. I'm convinced we can build something in the order of 20 years. I don't think anything faster is just a pipe dream. I don't believe in that. But the challenge is really to stick together, to work together. And I think there is a role for everyone, because there's so many different aspects. So every laboratory, every institute in Europe can have its own role. But if we together, let's say, agree on what should be done, we can get there.
Well, yes, I think it is important that Tony brought the issue of private companies. And for sure, it would be really beneficial to introduce them to plasma fusion so that they can play a role. However, as Tony said, we should learn on the, say, wrong experience of states where the money got dispersed and didn't brought something well beneficial. So now the question is, what can be done to attract these private companies and to arrange the collaboration in this coordinated way? And maybe if there is a role to play for public, say, public companies and public institutions in this process. So, yes, please, Mr. Kroos.
Let me start this time. Yes, each part of the world does it its own way, and the American way has been mentioned. And I think that what they do in fusion is following the example of their space industry, where they went from NASA to SpaceX. The experience, the competences built up by the national agency, now it's being exploited or used or developed further by the private sector. Well, whether it can work in fusion, certainly in Europe we do it in a different way. And we see that there is a fusion industry, but they are the providers of components, systems, maybe not of new technologies yet. And we should work on sort of upgrade the fusion industry in Europe to the developers and providers of certain technologies. So not just components and systems. But I see a very important role, or the leadership role, for a public entity that has to coordinate it. And to come back to the words of Tony, yes, I think such a program is something that we all wish for, because we see that the present efforts are not, they do not provide any breakthrough. They are achievements, but there is no breakthrough. In fact, one could say that even there is a step back, because JET doesn't operate anymore. And we need a crash program where we select the best people, give them a lot of resources and the freedom to choose the best path to realize fusion.
I'm going to play a little bit devil's advocate. We need a crash program, but I don't know if you remember, because I'm a dinosaur, when they were designing, when they were beginning to design ITER, when they were focused on really having this next step, somebody, I'm not mentioning who, had the idea of building 3 of them. Okay?
There were many people, by the way.
Yeah.
3
of them. One would have been essentially what is ITER now. One would have been what is JT60 SA. And the third one, and the third one was, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was a nuclear device, whatever. It was a VNS, if you want. It wasn't done. Fine. So maybe we need to be a little bit bolder than just saying we focus on 1 and we focus on 3 and see, but we put the money. So in terms of industry, I think there are 2 kinds of industry that are private companies and industry. There's the one that gives money, the funds. The private, together with the funds, there is also the oil states that are beginning to be interested in fusion these days, and they probably have quite a lot of money. And they provide money, but they don't provide knowledge. You have the real industry, the one that is providing components, the one that is providing training. They know how to train their people on digital training platforms, for example. So those are the ones that, to me, is very important to bring in. And we provide our knowledge. We know what the plasma needs to do. We know what the system. They know how to optimize certain components. And if we can work together, and then use whatever money. No, not whatever money. Use money, but not be driven by the money telling us you need to do this in 3 weeks' time. I think we need to acknowledge, and we need to be serious, and we need to tell them this takes 20 years. And it's 20 instead of 50. So yes, but it takes 20 years. And you cannot just expect a return on the fusion. You will expect a return on patents, things like that. But don't promise fusion over the next 5 years, because we all know that you cannot.
I'll be the last
It's fine. You're the longest this time. Yeah, I think these private companies, they're really great. They're very agile. They are falling forward. For some developments, they're very good. So I think the HTS development, which was already mentioned, it's really great. I have indeed also a problem if they tell me that they're much faster than public research and that ultimately they lead to fusion in a much quicker way. And a few times they came to me and they say, Tony, we are doing the same as SpaceX and Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic are doing for rocket science. And then immediately these words of Shania Twain came into my head. So you're a rocket scientist, that don't impress me. And this is always in my head when I speak with these people which come with these promises that, you know, it's really impossible to have something in 5 years. We tried over the years so many different concepts, and if you look carefully at the companies, many are working at concepts which we disbanded already back in the 70s and the 80s, and they're popping them up now. And of course, using AI and modern control techniques, you can do it better than we did in the 60s, 70s. Maybe it will work, but when I really look in detail to these companies, it will take also 20, 25 years at least, and probably longer, because it's still quite small teams, subcritical. And they forget working on the real important things like the plasma wall, neutron tolerance, and all these kind of things. So good that the companies are there. It makes the landscape more vibrant. There's certainly benefits from it, but we need to be careful. And in many cases, it's also a dream.
Well, the risk of I think we have to clarify private sector, company workshop, startup or not company workshop, that's just the money, where the money is. Okay, risk for Eurofusion today, they take away our best people. They buy them. And then they now start to implement their plans, go to the labs, bring the money to the labs, and the labs, remember Eurofusion is a co-funding action. We don't pay 100%, we pay depending on, so they pay 100%, so the labs work with them better than Eurofusion. I had cases where tasks were not executed because they were getting more money working for. So I think that we are in competition with these people. Near term, they are an opportunity, so I think they are not going to go anywhere. There are some, we have to distinguish, there are a couple which are good. Everybody comes with this solution to go to the moon with a ladder. I think we have to accept this. Now my focus in my role is to wake up the public sector. If the public sector find a way to identify a project, they will jump in. Because sooner or later they realize that their plan to go to the moon with a ladder doesn't work. We still have a knowledge which has been developed thanks to investment and scientific, and the dinosaurs that they don't have and they cannot buy. So I think now I'm trying to convince myself that if we do an aggressive program and a brave approach to fill the gaps, because our gaps are the gap that they have, they will bring the money. I'm sure they will bring the money. So one of my goals, and you have read that somewhere, one of the biggest tasks I have is to realign this misalignment between the private sector and, I think it's our fault at the moment, because they see us to be benefiting from funding, but no, I think we can create an opportunity to, a business case, I call it. And they expect us to do that.
Okay, thank you very much. So now I think it is time to conclude, but conclude with short summaries of each speaker. So I'd like to ask you for some more insightful summary of this discussion. So maybe now starting with Fernanda.
I think we live in exciting times for fusion. It's difficult. It's always been difficult, but it's exciting now. We can see things moving. There are pitfalls, there are risks, but there are also opportunities. And I'm very glad that I came here. This for this thing, because one of the things that was repeated in the previous panel is particularly exciting, the idea of having a facility, a new facility in Europe, in Poland, a facility that could sort of be the foundation for a renewal, for doing things slightly differently, not terribly differently, because we still want to collaborate, but doing things slightly differently, doing it better, and going forward. So to me, this has been a very positive things that I've got from this conference. So thank you very much. And again, it's an exciting time. The risk is that we'll disperse. But
yes, it's an exciting time. Let's try to treat it as an opportunity. And it emerges here from the discussion that we need an ambitious program. I think Europe has all the competences, it has enough resources, it has the know-how to be a leadership in this field, in which changes. But let's try to take out of this changing environment the positive things, the positive part, and try to use it to our advantage and to lead.
I think I like the dinosaurs because they have the experience and the competence. As a matter of fact, I think we have a big challenge here to close a gap between two generations. Fusion goes across many generations, and we are not able to communicate the knowledge from the previous generation. It's like when you do the baton, the 4 pieces. They have to start from where we have arrived, and instead there is a tendency to start on scratch and reinvent the cycle. I think we have done a poor job to prepare documentation, and even if we would have a documentation, I'm writing a book explaining the lessons learned from ITER, by the way. It's going to be a major book. I have involved a lot of friends. So we have to be able to transfer to another person younger. And I see that even this basic concept to transfer knowledge from Tony to me, it happened because Tony and myself spent time together. It's called now knowledge management transfer. There are people making an interview of an hour at the end of the career of a person and record it, expecting to provide this recording to the next generation. This is madness, madness. So I'm in favor to engage. If we bring a program strong together, we have to go back to the old generation, the dinosaur. We have to beg them and pay them to spend a bit of time to train the young generation. Otherwise, we don't go anywhere. And this, for me, it's something which is urgent. So we cannot postpone the decision because otherwise the dinosaur will be extinct. So I think it's another reason why we have to act swiftly to ensure that the knowledge, we did a lot of things wrong, and we should not repeat these things. So do not go away, okay? Stay. There's a job for you as well.
I was worried.
There is a job for you as well.
No, sure. Well, that's why I'm still very active in fusion consultancy. I think we heard already from several panel members about the excitement, but I would also like to mention this is a window of opportunity, because what we have seen in history is that occasionally the fusion budget is very high. But then some years later, it goes again down. At the moment, you can see Europe is going to increase the budget drastically. The UK has increased the budget. In Germany, they're increasing. I believe France is discussing also in that direction. And maybe some other countries are going in the same direction. This is a window of opportunity, and we need to take it, but we need to do it in a good way. Because if we don't organize ourselves, and make use of this opportunity, then maybe in 4 or 5 years again, Gianfranco's successor will basically be confronted again with a budget cut. So we really need to work together, and together we can do it. Together we can make the future. Let's do it.
Great. So I think that it was perfect concluding remarks for these discussions, as well for the conference, which is about to end. So let's first thank our panelists for very inspiring talk. Well, and now, before we will, thank you very much. Now, before we will finish the conference, we've got some time for those of you who want to say some acknowledgements or some thoughts. So please, Jeff.